Hello guys, what is up? Domino here. We're going to be talking about Guild Wars 2, specifically the Guild Wars 2 beta. And I did do a couple videos of these, and as you may know, my first experience was not all that great with the game. Um, I do kind of want, this is going to be a long video, it's going to be about 35 minutes long, but I am going to talk about, well, basically I'm just going to talk about my experiences with the game, my experiences with grouping and getting into a party, and how the game works and overflows. And I'm gonna talk about all of it. And I want to make a disclaimer first. If you're watching this video right now and you see stuttering, blah 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 blah, the game is not very smooth for me at all, and there's no reason for that at all. It's a very unoptimized game, and a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it runs fine for me." It's bullshit. They're not. It's not running fine for anyone. The game is extremely processor intensive, and unless you have a huge processor, the game in its current state runs really bad for me, especially in these crowded areas. As you can see, I'm running around outside one of the Centaur areas doing a mission. And that's kind of how I'm gonna describe and start out my review slash commentary of Guild Wars 2. It's a series of missions. You don't have quests per se. You have a main quest. Now you can see in the upper right corner, I have a quest in green. That's my main story quest. That's like the main storyline of the game. Now all these other things in yellow and orange, those are various, I want to call them activities. That's kind of how I call them, and they all tend to be very grindy. Those are the secondary quests of Guild Wars 2. I'm a little. I don't wanna jump right into the negative here, but I'm a little underwhelmed by the secondary activities, quote unquote, that are in this game. As you can see, you have a participation bar. And that's basically how much stuff you kill, how much damage you deal, how many people you revive. You get you get experience and whatever for just participating in these events. Now, all we're doing here is killing centaurs. That is the goal. That is the prime goal. Killing centaurs, maybe destroying siege equipment, collecting items. You're going to see later on in this video, I have a event that I do where I just pick up items and return them to some dude. And for the most part, it works out pretty well. I mean, for the most part, it doesn't feel as grindy or lame as World of Warcraft at all. In fact, it's actually pretty cool if you have a group of people all helping together and kind of just getting into the fray and taking out monsters and stuff and looting and whatnot. That's when it kind of shines. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's chaotic. There's people running around all over the place. There are people on the other end of the map killing things. Nobody's really working together. I mean, sometimes you get a flow where people are all going in the same direction and helping each other and reviving each other. But other than that, it's random. It's like I would compare it to atoms or molecules or electrons circling an atom. They're just banging around. Sometimes they hit each other and you get some teamwork going on. Most of the time, it's just people jumping in, killing a few things. Maybe they run off and do something else. Maybe not. It's just chaotic. I'm not used to that kind of chaos in an MMO game, to be quite honest. It feels much more like a first-person shooter or some kind of action RPG like Diablo. And you can see that there are kind of influences of that here. Although the biggest influence is that I can tell is World of Warcraft. By far, it's the single biggest thing that they've modeled this game after, and you love it or hate it, that's gonna be your own preference. It feels a lot more like World of Warcraft than Guild Wars. Let's put it that way. But what I wanted to talk about briefly is the optimization issue. That was going to be the first part of my kind of review slash complaint with the game. It's not optimized at all, really, to use the graphics card. I've read on the excuse me, I read on the forums that basically this thing is only using 20% of your GPU, something like that. It's really crazy that they released the game in this state. But granted, it's a beta, it's a stress test. I'm gonna cut it some slack. I was originally kind of underwhelmed. I mean, because you fire this up on your computer, and I have a decent computer. I can run Skyrim at Ultra at about 60 frames per second, and I'm wondering why I can't run this MMO game at an acceptable frame rate. I'm running at about 25 frames per second. Sometimes it gets as high as 60, 50 and 60 if you're absolutely by yourself or in an instance by yourself. That is those are the only times that I've ever had a smooth frame rate, and I don't know why they did it. I don't know why they did it that way. I guess they're still working on the code, working on utilizing the graphics card a little bit more. Right now, it's completely processor bound, and from what I'm reading on the forums, is that it does not take advantage of multi-core processors right now. So if you have a multi-core processor, you're not doing yourself any favors by playing this. And like I said, full disclaimer, this is a beta. This is a beta test. This isn't the final release of the game. And most people assure me and seem to be very confident that ArenaNet is going to handle this by release. I hope so, because quite honestly, if they release the game without these optimizations, they're going to have serious trouble marketing this to people, because a lot of people are not able to run this game at an acceptable frame rate on pretty high-end systems. And that's just that. It is what it is, okay? I realize a lot of people get defensive when I start to criticize a beta because it's a beta, it's a beta, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I understand it's a beta, but they've put something out here. I mean, they've put something out here for people to play and people to experience. I think it's fair game. It's fair game to be subject to some criticism, even if it is a beta. I understand that they're working on it, but whatever. That's all I'm going to say about the optimization issue. They really need to work on that. If they don't, they're going to have serious problems marketing this game. Second complaint, experience that I've had is that I was actually able to group up with my friend today and play through a couple rounds, a couple missions, go through a story mission with him. It does work if you're both on the same world. Unfortunately, there's no way to switch into the same overflow. Now, here's how it works. The overflow realm or channel or however it works, is kind of like just what the name implies. It's an overflow. When the main world, like the world that counts, fills up with people, you get spilled over, literally like a cup of Diet Coke or something. You foam over and spill over to the side, and you go into what's known as the overflow. The overflow is like a copy of the world that people can just hang out in, and you can still have access to all the quests and leveling stuff, but there are some key differences. I don't know what those differences are, and I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm sure somebody can go look it up, but there is a difference between being in the overflow and being into the main area, and it gives you a choice. Whether you want to queue up and wait, or if you want to jump right in to the overflow and then wait, or something. I don't know how exactly it works. I waited in the queue for a good 20 to 30 minutes, and nothing happened. So, basically, you're stuck in town. If you wait in the queue, you're stuck running around town with your friend or whatever until a spot opens up or whatever. It never did. We got fed up with it and eventually just ran into the overflow. Now, the overflow is separated up into districts, much like Guild Wars 1 was. So if I go into the overflow, I may be in District 31, and my friend, if he warps out at the same time, he may be in District 57. And it doesn't tell you what district you're in, and it doesn't give you any control about syncing up with your party, even if you're in the same group. When you run out that portal, it's almost random what kind of district you end up in, and sometimes you end up with your friend, and most of the time you don't. It's a toss up. And I remember we had to go in and out of that portal 50 times to try and get synced up and try to get our both of us in the same channel of the overflow. I'm gonna be blunt here. It This is a massive multiplayer, keyword being multiplayer game. This kind of system is absolutely atrocious. For a game that's being marketed as a multiplayer game, it should not be this hard to find your friends, to connect with your friends, to be in the same party, and to be kept together when you warp places. This is just basic common knowledge, massive multiplayer fundamentals here. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to bash on this game, because there are a lot of good aspects of this game that I like. But as it stands in its current state, if you were to log on right now, this is the experience that you would have, and you would not be able to play with your friends half the time because you're in different channels, you're in different worlds. There are too many areas of separation. Okay, they separate people into worlds, and then they separate people into overflow groups, and then they separate people into whatever. It's all these are barriers to playing with your friends. Okay, and this is going to cripple this game. If this is the way it is coming out of the final release, this will cripple the game. Hands down, I can't see a whole lot of people getting a lot of enjoyment out of this game if that's going to be the system for finding your friends in this game. I mean, it seems, I feel almost ridiculous bringing this up, because it seems like such a basic fundamental tenet of multiplayer gaming. I have a friend, I want to play with him. It should not be this hard. It should not be this. We should not have to jump through all these hoops to get synced up in the same place and play in the same play space. It wasn't even this hard in Guild Wars 1. In a lot of ways, it feels like a step backwards. It feels like they've taken a step backwards, and it's annoying. It's very annoying, and I realize that if you're playing a game and you're having trouble doing basic things like getting your friend into the same channel and playing, there's something wrong with that. There's something seriously wrong with that, and I hope and I know that ArenaNet has to be aware of this, because I know I'm not the only one complaining about this. I know they have to be aware, so hopefully they're going to work on that for the final release, because if they don't, they're going to have serious problems on their hands, by far. Now, I guess I kind of touched on this. I kind of touched on this before, but my other complaint is just the grindy, chaotic nature of these event systems. Now, see, I've wandered into another event, and there's really no context. There's really no context to these events, because a lot of times you can wander into an event, and you're given a list of you're given like a shopping list of what you need to do to participate in that event, and that's cool. That's cool in the way that I don't have to talk to an NPC, but it doesn't give you any context. You may run into an area, start participating in an event, and never talk to the main NPC, which was the case with this. A lot of these events that I participated in, I just ran in, started participating, got full credit for them, and ended up leveling up, and that's it. So then I was off on my merry way. I killed a whole bunch of things with no context, no lore, no storyline backing it up. It was just a chaotic mess of people all in one place, killing on things, and until a bar fills up. Again, I'm reluctant to be overly critical because it is a beta, but didn't they market this game as not a grind fest? Didn't they market this game as not watching little bars fill up while you do the same repetitive action over and over and over again? I don't know. Maybe I misinterpreted what they meant when they were talking about Guild Wars 2 being different than all the other games out here. Because as it stands, this is not different. This is very, if I had to define it in terms that Guild Wars 1 players would understand, it's very Nightfall-esque. Nightfall, as you know, is the third expansion of Guild Wars 1. And that introduced this concept of killing certain types of monsters over and over and over again to rank up in reputation and points and things like that. This feels kind of like that. This feels more like Nightfall than it does Guild Wars. Needless to say, these are only the secondary aspect of the game, and they're they're pretty forgiving. However, they're kind of these phenomenon that happen, and I don't know if I used the plural of that right, but somebody correct me if I didn't. Phenomenon, whatever, that occur while you're playing in these group events. A lot of times, people move on, and you're not done with the event, so you're back here, you're killing stuff, and you look around, and all of a sudden, you're freaking alone. You're just alone, and all these people are just descending on you, and it's very unusual. It's odd. So in a lot of ways, you have to be aware of the people around you. I find that me as a spellcaster, I find that I have to constantly be moving and running away, because if I try to stand toe-to-toe with something, I tend to get my ass handed to me fairly quickly. And that's okay. I'm a necromancer. I understand that. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. Although I do have a kind of melee focus in that I can do these melee attacks from a distance and still kind of deal damage and participate and not feel like I'm just plinking away like Guild Wars 1 style with a little wand, you know, shooting little balls at enemies and just plinking for 1 or 2 damage. So in this case, I like that. This is a positive thing. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this is probably the best design decision that Guild Wars 2 has over Guild Wars 1. Is this no class feels like it isn't participating. I have a claw attack as a necromancer that is effective. I mean, it's reasonably effective. It feels like I'm actually helping out and damaging things and killing things, whereas I'm not completely reliant on a warrior or a tank or somebody else to go in and do whatever. So in that way, they've really nailed that aspect of it. Again, my complaint is there is no context. A lot of these activities have no context. You don't know why you don't know why these things are happening. And a lot of times, if you want to go talk to the NPC involved and actually get the backstory and all that, it's usually like, oh yeah, I need help killing these bandits because they're about to bomb a bridge. You're going to see this event that I do at the very end where I have to stop a bunch of bandits from bombing a bridge and whatnot and so forth. What can I say? It feels grindy. It feels very grindy. And for someone that has been playing games like World of Warcraft I played World of Warcraft for about 2.5 years. I played Diablo for, God, probably a decade. I played Guild Wars for a long time. I know grind when I see it. I understand fully what grind is, and Guild Wars 2 has its hefty share of it. Let's put it that way. That being said, it doesn't feel grindy in the sense that you actually are seeing yourself progress. As I get XP and I start leveling up, I can tell that what I'm doing is actually kind of meaningful. Whereas in World of Warcraft or another MMO like that, you could kill 1,000,000 bugs or you could do whatever in this and you'd level up inch by inch by inch. In this game, you actually see your XP bar at the bottom filling up and you're leveling up. So in that way, they've kind of fixed it. They've kind of made it. I don't know how to describe it. I honestly do not know how to describe it. It's grind, but it's like not grind. It's like if you had a glass of grind, and they mixed it with ice and they watered it down. Like it's like half watered down grind. So it doesn't have that bite of actual like WoW grinding, but it's still grinding. And don't kid yourself into thinking that this is a different MMO, that this is different. This is the same model we've seen over and over and over again, and as as I sort of predicted, it was overhyped. Guild Wars 2 was acclaimed to be something kind of revolutionary. It's very clear that this is not revolutionary. It's just a little different. They've got some good ideas in here. They need to work on it though. Um, that's about all. That's about all the complaints that I have. I want to get those out. I want to get those out there so that just in case you actually listen to this whole thing. And I realize a lot of people aren't going to do that. People don't like to listen to 35-minute videos, but whatever. I'm going to put my complaints out there, and because I believe in keeping it honest. I don't. I am a Guild Wars fanboy, and I criticize this with the intent of hopefully making the game better. Hopefully some other people are going to have the same criticisms, and they'll be able to make this game better, because this game has a lot of potential. This game has a lot of potential to be really fun. Unfortunately, as it is, it's just too chaotic. And unfortunately, that kind of chaos seems to be ingrained into the game. It seems to be a permanent feature of the game. And as a result, you've got too much going on. You've got too many players jumping around, running around. Oftentimes, it's chaos and it's confusing. And unfortunately, that seems to be the model that Guild Wars 2 is built around. It's built around all these people together out in one big open space playing together. And for the most part, that it works. Unfortunately, these events are very clustered together. They're very close together. So there's just people everywhere. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem running across people, participating. But this kind of chaos was never present in World of Warcraft. When I played for 2.5 years or so, I mean, there were some crowded areas, but you never saw chaos like this. You never saw 50 people in a zone just running around, bashing away at things. And I wish there was. I had recorded in a char instance that I was doing for, not an instance, but a event I was doing with my friend. When we were actually able to get in the same area, there's a part of the game. There's a part of the game where you have to defend the char stronghold, char area, and there were about I would say at least 40 people. At least 40 actual player models running around, clustered into this tiny area of where the zone was taking place, and then about 20 chars spawned and ran in, and it was just a chaos. It was a chaos fest, and you couldn't see what was happening. All you did was target the critter, the enemy that you could see, and just start wailing away, hoping that you're hitting something. It was pure chaos. And that's the only way I can really describe a lot of Guild Wars 2. This seems to be what it's built around. Chaos. Just giant frag fests is what I would describe. It feels like a game of Unreal Tournament or something. It doesn't feel like an MMO. But it does have a lot of these MMO elements and whatnot. The equipment and stuff, just like Guild Wars 1, feels useless and pointless. I realize that there are games like Diablo 3 that are very item focused. When you get an item, a cool item that drops on the ground, you know that you've got a cool item, and you're constantly checking your inventory to switch out stuff. This is not like that at all. Very rarely do you see actual what you're picking up. When you pick up something, you push F. I have auto pickup on, so it picks up everything with one keystroke. And when you pick it up, you see a little box down in the lower right corner with what you picked up, and it's in tiny text. And if you're playing on 1920 by 1080 like I am, you're not seeing what you're picking up, and most of it's garbage. Most of it is just broken hides and crap that all you're gonna do is hauling back to the merchant to sell. This, in a lot of ways, they've missed the opportunity that, say, a game like Diablo has, where you get that feeling of awesomeness when you get an epic sword drop, or you get a unique item drop, or when you get something that's really badass and you pick it up, and you know that that you did not have a good chance of getting that. they miss out on this completely. All these items feel useless. A lot of these items I don't even remember picking up. That's the kind of game this is. I check my inventory rarely. I know a lot of people probably check it more than I do. I don't feel compelled to, because when I open it up, it's all crap. It's all garbage. You don't get anything from actually um, grinding away at this. You do get some cool quest items when you finish story quests, or when you finish your main quests. You get quest rewards, much like in World of Warcraft, where it gives you a choice of what you want. It may give you a choice of gloves, and each of the gloves is geared to a certain type of character that you're playing. Maybe it's you want an increase in intelligence or an increase in power, blah 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 blah. Um, that's kind of how items work in this game, and I'm not a huge fan. And I realize I'm complaining again, but I'm just gonna get all this stuff out here. I feel like being honest. I feel like uh, letting people know what this is, because I know a lot of people are debating pre-ordering this game, and I just want you guys to kind of know how it is, what's going on. Um, this here's another kind of complaint that I have. Um, there are, much like in World of Warcraft, there is no kind of, I would say, creature scaling, level scaling, or at any kind really. You can wander off into areas that are grossly overpowered for you and get just wiped. You get wiped off the map, one-shotted by creatures, and one of the huge downfalls of this game, and I don't know why they decided to do this, but you have to pay money to respawn. And I understand why their motivation for doing that is. Basically, these games have what's known as virtual economies. The reason that gold and silver and platinum have value in these games is because there isn't a whole lot of it. If there weren't things like dinging people for 15 gold or copper or whatever to respawn every time, there might be too much gold, and you'd have inflation, and it would be useless. It'd be like Diablo 2, where you've got just inventories full of gold, and it's so useless because you can't do anything with it, and you're throwing it away because you don't care. That's kind of how I was with gold in Diablo 2, because I had just so freaking much of it that it had no meaning. There were repairing things didn't cost a whole lot of money, so a lot of ways their economy became so inflated and useless that it was like, okay, gold, yay. A lot of ways Guild Wars 2 is like that. If you are a really active Guild Wars 1 player, did I say Guild Wars 2? I meant Guild Wars 1. Guild Wars 1 is a lot like that in that money is kind of useless, because in the later parts of the game you're making so much of it. If you're grinding or whatever, you're making lots of money. And people know what I'm talking about. If you're like me and you just play through the main storyline, you may not have as much money at the end just because. But what was I talking about? I'm talking about probably my final complaint with the game. This system that has you paying money to respawn is completely flawed, and I'm going to explain to you why. If you run out of money, you are screwed. And what does that mean? That means that basically I got into a situation with my first Char character that I wandered into an area that was way over leveled for me, that I wasn't supposed to be in, and got one-shotted. And so I respawned at the closest area, and I paid money to do that. And I kept doing it, trying to survive, trying to tweak up my strategy and survive. Unfortunately, much like in World of Warcraft, level means everything. So if you're not high enough level, you're not gonna survive. You're not gonna be able to run in as a level 3 and just survive by being creative. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, I died 50 million times and ran out of money. I lost all my money. My equipment all broke, so I'm naked, broke, and I can't get back to the main town. I can't get back to an area of safety because all the monsters are crowding the spawn area. So they're killing me the minute I respawn. And I'm respawning in a free area. If you're out in the wilderness like this, there is usually one respawn stone next to your area, and you can respawn at that for free because it's close. But if you want to get back to town or get back to somewhere safe, you're going to have to pay money. You're going to have to pay cash money dollars, and if you don't have those cash money dollars, you're screwed. And I got into a situation where I had no equipment. I was dying over and over again. Every time I tried to run past these guys, they'd kill me. There was nobody around to resurrect me. I don't know. I had to ask myself, you know, at what point does this get fun? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you guys. There are a lot of areas that need improvement for this game, and I'm not gonna. And if anybody tells you this game is perfect and awesome, they're probably a really big fanboy, and you need to take what they say with a grain of salt here, because this game needs a little work, and that's just me being honest. That's just me telling it like it is. I don't. Obviously, I pre-ordered the game, so obviously I'm gonna play it on release. However it is, there are a lot of aspects of this game that I like. It's really awesome when everything clicks and you've got a group of people that are kind of working together, and it clicks, and you're working as a team. Like here, it was really awesome. I had people around me helping out, and I was like hanging back and killing stuff and using my area effect stuff. It was great. Those parts of the game are awesome when everything clicks. And you've got all this teamwork going on. You really see Guild Wars 2 shine. You really see what the developers obviously were intending people to see when they got this going. Unfortunately, that rarely happens at all. Just doesn't happen, at least on the world I'm on, at least on the experience that I had. If you're having a better experience, then, you know, good for you. But I'm firing up the game and playing. It's just really hard to get like a cohesive group where people aren't just running around randomly and it just clicks. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's kind of my thoughts about Guild Wars 2. I may release a couple more videos of this. The Guild Wars 2 stress test is going on for a couple more hours, so if you are a pre-order customer, go log on and kill some stuff and tell me what you think. Let me know if I'm full of shit. Let me know if I'm just missing the boat completely. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take issue with these criticisms that I have with Guild Wars 2, but ultimately it's up to you. If you enjoy it, then go get it. I enjoy the game. But there are some areas that need work. I'm going to play the game, but like I said, there are definite areas that need work, and I feel like as part of the stress test, as you know, they need my feedback. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest here. I think that to overlook some of these things would be willful blindness. You know, I know we all love Guild Wars 2. I know I do, and I know we love ArenaNet, but we just kind of have to be honest at some point and say that these systems might need a little tweaking for a final release. Anywho, as you guys know, today is Monday, and Diablo 3 gets released at midnight for people that digital pre-ordered. I unfortunately have to wait for the UPS guy on Tuesday, so it may be 1 or 2 o'clock by the time. He's usually about 1 or 2 o'clock by the time the UPS guy gets here. So tomorrow I'm going to be probably playing Diablo 3. I definitely have plans to do a full playthrough. I don't know if I'll play through the full game first and then do another playthrough, or do it as I'm playing. I haven't quite decided yet, but either way, it's going to be awesome. I am going to be taking a break from Final Fantasy Tactics for a while. I'm not quitting the playthrough. I'm not stopping it prematurely, but obviously with Diablo 3 out, it's going to be taking up probably most of my very limited time I have to make these videos. So Final Fantasy Tactics is going on the back burner for a while, and I do have a couple more videos of that stored up, and I may release them over the course. But ultimately, I have my place saved, so I'm going to pick that up probably once the Diablo fever subsides a little bit. And so I'm going to have my thoughts about Diablo 3. I'm going to have an unboxing. When I get the Collector's Edition, I did pre-order the Collector's Edition, and I'm going to be doing an unboxing, and I'm going to show you guys what all comes in the box and all that good stuff. So thank you guys for listening to me for 35 minutes. I really appreciate all my subscribers. Please leave me some comments and feedback. Please give me any sort of feedback. You guys are awesome. Thank you.